Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 28, Text 42. Translation. A yogi should see the same soul in all manifestations, for all that exists is a manifestation of different energies of the Supreme. In this way, the devotee should see all living entities without distinction. That is realization of the Supreme Soul. Purport. As stated in the Brahma Samhita, not only does the Supreme Soul enter into each and every universe, but he enters even the atoms. The Supreme Soul is present everywhere in the dormant stage, and when one can see the presence of the Supreme Soul everywhere, he is liberated from material designations. The word Sarvabhuteshu is to be understood as follows. There are four different divisions of species. Living entities which sprout from the earth, living entities born of fermentation or germination, living entities which come from eggs, and living entities which come from the embryo. These four divisions of living entities are expanded in 8,400,000 species of life. A person who is freed from material designations can see the same quality of spirit present everywhere or in every manifested living entity. Less intelligent men think that plants and grass grow out of the earth automatically, but one who is actually intelligent and has realized the self can see that this growth is not automatic. The cause is the soul, and the forms come out in material bodies under different conditions. By fermentation in the laboratory, many germs are born, but this is due to the presence of the soul. The material scientist thinks that eggs are lifeless, but that is not a fact. From Vedic scripture, we can understand that living entities in different forms are generated under different conditions. Birds evolve from eggs, and beasts and human beings are born from the embryo. The perfect vision of the yogi or devotee is that he sees the presence of the living entity everywhere. Sarva bhuteshu chatmanam sarva bhutani chatmani ikshetananya bhavena bhuteshiva tad atmanasam. A yogi should see the same soul in all manifestations, for all that exists is a manifestation of different energies of the Supreme. In this way, the devotee should see all living entities without distinction. That is realization of the Supreme Soul. So the Spirit Soul is there in the entire cosmic manifestation, wherever there is living entity. And one should understand that Spirit Soul to be the same. In other words, one should understand there's an equality there, and look with an equal vision upon all Spirit Souls. Therefore, in Bhagavad Gita also it is said that the devotee, or the pandita, he sees samadarshana. He sees, for instance, the suni chaiva sapakecha, even the dog or the dog eater. The brahmane govi hastini, he sees the brahmana or the elephant. He sees all of these living entities with an equal vision, because he sees they're all Spirit Soul. He understands that we have the same thing in different packages. From that point of view, Spirit Soul is one. It is the spiritual energy, and it is transcendental to the material energy with all of its material varieties. This is also our philosophy. However, in that transcendental energy, in that Brahman, there is also variety, but it is spiritual. That is why I am different from you, and you are different from me, and we are all different from every living entity, because we are different in the sense that we have different desires, for we are a different part of the Supreme. But that we are all parts of the Supreme, with the basic qualities of the Supreme, this is a fact for everyone. So, the living entities are nothing but Krishna. There is nothing but Krishna. Everywhere there is Krishna, there is only Krishna. And therefore to see the equality between the spirit soul and the Lord is not only not difficult, but it is absolutely required. In order to understand anything about spiritual life, you have to understand the equality of the spiritual energy and the living entities, the Supreme Lord. They are all part of His superior nature, para. Even Krishna says Himself like this in the Bhagavad Gita. Aparayami tastanyam prakritim vidime para jivabhuta mahabaho. Beyond this cosmic manifestation of earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, there is a superior energy, which is the living entities. They are part of the Prakriti Para. We are all part of the Prakriti. We are the energy of Krishna. We are that which is meant to be enjoyed. But now, as we are here manifested in our present conditioned life, we consider ourselves to be Purusha. But we are not Purusha. We are Prakriti. Purusha means the enjoyer. Prakriti means the enjoyed. Although we are in quality one with Krishna, we are never the Purusha. Even when we try to become the Purusha, even when we try to manifest as the enjoyer, still when it is time, when we are actually trying, when we are actually engaged in our sense gratification, we find that we are not actually enjoying. At the most, it is the body enjoying some sense gratification, but it is not us. We are never the Purusha, even in the most delusioned state. Everybody is dreaming all the time, and in their dreams they are the enjoyer. Everybody's the enjoyer in his dreams. He's always considering himself to be the controller of a situation, the enjoyer of a situation. But that is dream alone, influenced by the mode of ignorance. Factually, the living entity has no such position, but he accepts that position simply because of dreaming state. In a similar fashion, we, the living entities, are in our dreaming state where we are considering ourselves to be the enjoyers day and night. This is born of ignorance. Everybody in the material world is born into ignorance. Born into this ignorance, which is manifesting in the form of dvandva mohena, the duality of illusion. Illusion makes things seem to be all different than what they are. That is what Maya means. It's not what it seems to be. Just like a mirage in the desert may seem to be a place where you can receive water, but actually it doesn't exist. It's a product of the heat waves only and your desires. The heat wave is there, some light is reflected. You desire like anything to be the enjoyer of some water. Therefore, your mind turns the image into a mirage or of an oasis. Similarly, in this material world, we are in a parched place and we are very much desiring of enjoying. So in the harsh heat waves of the material existence, our mind transforms all of these images into so-called enjoyable things. Now, of course, even if one goes to the heavenly planets, he'll find there is great enjoyment of the sensual variety. However, the mind is also suffering condition. There are also, for those who are engaged in material enjoyment. There is some suffering in the mind, not even that much. But one who's wise knows even if the body is enjoying, that's still not me. Even though one is in the heavenly planets, and he's actually succeeding in enjoying the body, that still does not make it bona fide. Just because you've actually succeeded in enjoying doesn't mean you're now a bona fide enjoyer. Because you're not the body. Here on this earth planet, it's easy to understand you're not the enjoyer, because nobody's enjoying. It's various forms of suffering. But when you go to heavenly planets, then you can fall into the illusion that you're the enjoyer, because things are enjoyable. But one who's wise and knows something, especially about Krishna consciousness, knows that if I'm not the body here, I'm not the body there either. If I'm not the body, I'm not the body. So therefore I'm not the body in the heavenly planets either, where the so-called enjoyment's taking place. Therefore, that enjoyment is not actually me. And therefore I'm not actually enjoying, it's simply the body and its senses. Even in the heavenly planets, it's simply the body and its senses. Even in the highest planets, which are even beyond the Svargalok, topmost planets of the universe, Lord Brahma's planet, other planets up there, 4 specific Svarga, Satyalok, Mahalok, Janalok, Tapalok. Even you may go up there, still you're not the body. Even though the body may be wonderful from all points of view, still we're not the body. And therefore, all of the actions which take place there are simply a product of the material energy. A very highly advanced form of it, no doubt. Extremely advanced form, but still material energy, nonetheless. So the material energy is like that, giving us the illusory understanding that we are this body, regardless of the position or situation of life we are in. No matter where we are in the universe, no matter where we are in the whole cosmic manifestation, we are always under the illusion that we are this body, that we are this mind, that we are these senses. But factually, this is all simply derived from the modes of material nature. The living entity is none of these things. And one who sees that spirit soul everywhere. Because he sees things now in terms of the living entity, not in terms of the body. If one looks in terms of the body, he differentiates, here's this kind of body, here's that body, here's a Swedish body, a German body, a Chinese body, black body, white body. Body is body. Then he starts to think in separate departments about all of these things, but when one sees the soul everywhere, he only sees that spiritual oneness. He understands the absolute truth in that way, and he is no longer bewildered or bound by this conception of duality. There may be so many faults in this material world. So many problems are there. So many disturbing conditions are there. But one who sees the spirit soul within all these things, who sees the spiritual energy within all these things, is never bewildered despite all kinds of conditions. He's never bewildered by pleasure and he's never bewildered by pain. Not being bewildered by pain, all right. Not being bewildered by pleasure, much more difficult. But one who sees the spiritual platform is never bewildered by pleasure, is never bewildered by pain. He's never bewildered because he knows in all circumstances and all things, everything is coming from Krishna. Everything is meant for Krishna's satisfaction, ultimately. We are meant to serve Krishna with love and devotion. And if Krishna gives us something nice, we accept that. If Krishna gives us something not nice, we accept that. Whatever Krishna wants, in whatever species of life. But Lord Chaitanya prayed, Mama Janmani Janmani Shore Bhavatad Bhaktir Hai Tuki Tui. I only want your causeless devotional service in my life, birth after birth. only want devotional service. Don't want any more of these material things. Lord Chaitanya prayed like that. He didn't even pray for liberation. Of course, we who are neophytes, we are praying like anything to get out of this material world. That's not bad. After all, this material world is certainly a place of suffering. So who wants to stay here? It's terrible. This place is terrible. Therefore, only a fool would want to stay here. But Lord Chaitanya, when he prayed, he didn't even think like that. He said, if the Lord wants me to stay, I will stay. That is more advanced. If the Lord wants me to serve, I will serve. That is more advanced. Of course, we can have no experience of such advancement. And we can, of course, cheat and say, yes, if Krishna wants me to stay, I will stay. But then when we think about it, we say, but I hope he doesn't want. We only say that because we're kind of thinking that, yes, we'll go back to Godhead. We're working on that. Not that we have to stay here. But what if Krishna asked you, please stay here and preach? Ooh, great austerities. But of course, if one is already fixed on the spiritual platform, one is already very much dedicated to serving Krishna, one has already captured the lotus feet of Krishna in his heart, then for him it will not matter whether he's staying in the material world or he goes to the spiritual world, because he's already in the spiritual world. Of course, such loving devotion to the Lord is very rarely seen. But one who has got such loving devotion is never falling into Maya. These are the Nitya Siddha. From the very beginning, they are Krishna conscious. They never fall into Maya. So, the position like that is nice, very nice. But those of us who are in the conditioned position right now, coming from the Nitya Baddha platform, our only goal should be to go back home, back to Godhead, and get out of this miserable material world which is simply full of temporary conditions, sometimes happiness, sometimes distress, and a lot of trouble. That is our main goal. Therefore, to this end, we don't want to be entangled in any material things. Therefore, we only want to serve Krishna. We don't want to do anything else. Whatever Krishna wants, we shall do. Whatever spiritual master orders, we take that as our life and soul. The mission of the spiritual master should become the mission of the devotee. That mission is to spread this Krishna consciousness movement all over the whole world. And this may be done in different ways, different forms of spreading the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu may take place. We don't mind. We only want to engage whatever we've got, body, mind, words, intelligence, everything, simply in the service of the Supreme Lord. In this way, we'll actually become very satisfied, very happy. We are not even concerned about our own happiness. But when we come in contact with Krishna, then automatically we become very satisfied. So therefore, since we want to serve and please Krishna, automatically, since we are engaged in His service, we come in contact with Him, we'll automatically be satisfied. So, we should engage ourselves with full determination, hearing and chanting, remembering always, and then we'll actually have a great taste for serving Krishna and actually pleasing Him. And then, without a doubt, when Krishna is pleased in this way, this Krishna consciousness movement will spread all over the world. Krishna, when He's pleased, Prabhupada once said, Krishna can give you the whole world in 18 days if He wanted. But you are not qualified. We're not even interested in wanting the whole world. We only want a small little portion here, just so we can have a base for spreading Krishna consciousness. But Prabhupada said we could have the whole world. What would we do with it? Therefore, we're not very qualified. So Krishna is just giving us what we can manage. We have a hard enough time managing Korsnas Gard, what to speak of the whole world. So, therefore, due to the fact that we're not very qualified, and we're actually in a very unqualified position, Krishna is giving us that which we can handle, so that we can gradually become expert, qualified, and gradually accept more and more according to Krishna's desire. It's not that the devotee wants anything, but because Krishna wants things done, he has a plan. And that plan is for the ultimate good of the living entities. Krishna has a plan like that, which is meant for the good of everyone. It is the devotee's business to assist him in fulfilling his plan, to become his instrument, to become his tool, so that his plan may be fulfilled. That is the devotee's only business, to understand what Krishna wants and do. This is not very difficult. It is, after all, Krishna's desire, and if it's Krishna's desire, then it's possible to do. We simply have to understand the means. Srila Prabhupada has given us very nicely the means by which Krishna can be satisfied. And that program is meant for all of us. Because whatever he has given us to satisfy Krishna, that satisfies Krishna. And if Krishna is satisfied, Krishna is satisfied. What need do we have to come up with anything else? Therefore, we are just engaged in this production of Prabhupada's transcendental literatures and distribution of them as much as possible throughout the world. Because this will satisfy Krishna. And that is actually the perfect way in which his plan may manifest. Those literatures are eternal. And our business is to somehow or another get them in the hands of those who require them, which means all those in the human form of life, in all different languages. So let us work hard to accomplish these purposes, take care of the whole arrangement of preaching Krishna consciousness movement, and develop our own Krishna consciousness very perfectly, and go back home, back to Godhead, at the end of this life, after satisfying Krishna by fulfilling his plan. Advaita Hari Krishna.
Divine Grace to Harikesa.